Have you ever caught your reflection not in a mirror but in a quiet store window and paused? Not to fix your hair or adjust your outfit, but to ask yourself deep down, do I still have it? It's a silent question that lives in the hearts of many women over 60. In a world that idolizes youth and chases flawless filters, it's easy to forget the kind of beauty that isn't loud but lasting. A beauty born from experience, grace, and quiet strength. But let me tell you something you may not hear often enough. You haven't lost your beauty, you've simply traded one version of it for another, deeper, richer, and more radiant. In today's video, we'll uncover 9 clear signs that you are without question a good-looking older woman, even if the compliments have slowed, or you've forgotten how to see yourself the way others do. And here's the truth. None of these signs have anything to do with wrinkle cream surgeries or trying to rewind time. They're about the woman you've become: wise, warm, confident, and undeniably magnetic. So if you've ever felt invisible, overlooked, or unsure of what the world sees when they look at you, this video is your mirror, and you might be surprised at the beauty staring back. Because beauty doesn't disappear with age, it transforms. And today we celebrate that transformation, your transformation. If this message touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want more uplifting content just like this, click subscribe and follow our journey of honoring beauty, wisdom, and life after 60. Sign 1: people often do a double take, even if they don't say why. It's subtle. You're walking down the aisle at the market or stepping into a coffee shop, and for just a second, someone's eyes linger. They may not say anything, there may be no words, but there's a pause, a glance, a moment where they see something striking. You might think, oh, they're just being polite, or brush it off as nothing. But here's the truth. Good looks don't always draw loud attention. Sometimes they just draw quiet awe. Take Evelyn, for example. She's 67 with silver curls that frame her face and a wardrobe full of deep blues and soft neutrals. She doesn't dress to impress, she dresses to feel good. And one day at the pharmacy, a man in line behind her tapped her shoulder gently and said, "Excuse me, I just have to say you carry yourself so beautifully." She laughed, thinking he was talking about her shoes, but he wasn't. He meant the way she stood, the way she smiled, the energy she gave off just by being there. There's actually science behind this. Researchers at Princeton found that people make snap judgments about attractiveness in 1/10 of a second based on posture, expression, and vibe more than anything else. So if people seem to notice you without quite knowing why, it's not in your head. You're giving off something magnetic, and the best part, you don't need to try for it. Your beauty is no longer about chasing attention, it's about carrying a presence. Sign 2: younger women admire you, quietly but deeply. You might not hear it often, they may not come right out and say, "I want to be like you one day," but watch closely. Because younger women notice. They notice the way you speak with calm, not chaos. The way your laugh is unforced, the way your eyes are soft but wise, like you've walked through storms and still came out smiling. Let me tell you about Clara. She's 72, doesn't have social media, doesn't follow trends, but every Sunday she shows up to her local brunch spot with her friend. Lipstick gently applied, scarf tied with care, eyes full of kindness. And one day a girl in her 20s approached her and said shyly, "I hope I grow into a woman like you." Clara was stunned. She asked why. The girl smiled. "Because you look like someone who's lived and still loves life. That's the power of presence. That's the kind of beauty youth can't fake. In a world that chases the new and the now, your authenticity is like a breath of fresh air. You're not trying to keep up. You're showing what it looks like to grow into yourself. Psychologists call this role model resonance, the magnetic pull we feel toward people who reflect the strength and self-assurance we secretly hope to gain. So when younger women ask about your perfume, your shoes, your peace, it's not just curiosity, it's admiration. And it's one of the clearest signs that you are undeniably a beautiful older woman. Sign 3, stranger's compliment. Something you weren't even thinking about, it always catches you off guard. You're not dressed up, you're not trying to stand out, you're just living your day. And then out of nowhere, someone says, "You have such a calming smile, your voice is so lovely, I really like your energy," and you pause surprised because you weren't even thinking about those things. That's exactly what happened to Dolores, a retired teacher in her late 60s. One rainy afternoon, she was at a bookstore browsing the classics, hair a little frizzy from the weather glasses slipping down her nose. She wasn't wearing anything fancy, just a raincoat and an old lavender scarf. But as she reached for a book, a woman nearby smiled and said, "You look so serene, like someone I'd love to have tea with." It wasn't about makeup or fashion, it was about present stillness, the kind of beauty that reveals itself when you're not even trying. Here's why this matters. Random compliments from strangers are often the most honest. They don't know your history. They have no reason to flatter you. When someone takes the time to notice and speak up, it usually means something about you struck a chord, something real. Researchers at the University of British Columbia found that people's emotional expressions, not facial symmetry or age, had the strongest influence on how attractive they were perceived to be, especially by strangers. So if you've ever had someone compliment your smile, your laugh, your earrings, or even your vibe, especially when you least expected it, that's no accident. That's beauty being seen even when you've forgotten it's there. Sign 4, you've been told you have grace, not just beauty. At some point, someone used a different word to describe you. Not pretty, not hot, but something deeper. Something that made you pause. You're so graceful, you have such elegance about you, there's a charm to you I can't explain. These aren't just words. They're quiet recognitions of a timeless kind of beauty. A beauty that doesn't fade with years, it unfolds through them. Let's talk about Yvonne. She's 70, walks with a cane now, but carries herself like a dancer. Shoulders back, chin lifted, eyes always scanning the room with soft curiosity. At her grandson's piano recital, a woman leaned over and whispered, "Your presence is just elegant." Yvonne blushed. She wasn't wearing anything fancy, just a cardigan, a small brooch, and the same lipstick she's worn for 30 years. But elegance isn't about effort, it's about essence. You see, as we age, beauty transforms, it softens, it deepens. It becomes more about how you make people feel than how you look. Psychologists call this aesthetic maturity, a kind of beauty rooted in emotional wisdom, self-awareness, and calm confidence. Studies show that older women who carry themselves with poise and intention are often rated as more attractive even without youthful features. So if people have ever used words like graceful, elegant, charming, or poised to describe, this, they're not being polite, they're seeing the real you, beautiful in a way time can't touch. Sign 5. People go out of their way to be kind to you, and you don't always know why. You're standing in line and someone insists you go ahead. You're carrying groceries and a stranger offers to help. A young man opens a door, smiles, and says, "After you, ma'am." It might seem like simple manners, and maybe sometimes it is. But when these gestures happen again and again and from people who don't know you, there's usually something more behind it. It's not pity, it's not obligation, it's respect, admiration, and yes, recognition of beauty. Let's take Helen, 74, who was walking through the park one afternoon when it started to rain. She didn't have an umbrella, just a light sweater. As she reached the sidewalk, a teenage boy, maybe 17, ran up beside her, held out his umbrella, and said, "Here, I'll walk with you." She laughed and said, "You don't even know me." He smiled and said, "No, but you remind me of someone I care about. That's it." Sometimes beauty doesn't sparkle, it soothes. Sometimes it doesn't shout, it comforts. There's even a name for this in sociology: perceived social value. It means people unconsciously respond to the aura someone carries, the energy, the confidence, the calm. It's why people hold space for you, smile more, offer small acts of kindness without being asked. So the next time someone gives up their seat, opens the door, or simply treats you with a warmth that feels bigger than the moment, don't dismiss it. It could be one of the clearest, quietest signs that you still shine. Sign 6. Other women secretly ask for your tips. It starts casually. Where do you get your scarves? Your skin looks amazing. What's your routine? Or even, how do you always look so put together? They may ask with a smile as if it's just friendly conversation, but beneath the surface there's something more powerful happening. Admiration. Because when other women, especially those close to your age, ask you for advice on beauty, skincare, style, or simply how you carry yourself, they're not just curious, they're saying, "You've figured something out that I haven't yet." That's what happened to Gloria, 68, at her book club. One evening, as she poured tea into mismatched mugs, one of the women leaned in and asked, "What do you use on your hands? They look so youthful." Gloria was surprised. She never thought of her hands as anything special. Just a little olive oil and gentle soap, nothing fancy. But that night, 3 more women asked similar questions about her hair, her earrings, even her laugh. And suddenly she realized something. Her quiet self-care wasn't going unnoticed. There's a beauty in consistency, in choosing soft colors that light up your skin, in walking with ease and knowing what suits you not just in clothing but in spirit. Psychologists call this mirrored admiration. We seek in others what we wish to strengthen in ourselves. So when women around you ask for your tips, it's not just flattery, it's a deep, respectful acknowledgement of your timeless beauty. So don't shrug it off or say, "Oh, it's nothing." Because to them it's something, it's inspiration. Sign 7. You feel more at peace with yourself than ever before. There's a quiet power in a woman who's stopped chasing perfection, who no longer compares, who no longer apologizes for taking up space. And if you've reached a point in life where you can look in the mirror, not to criticize but to appreciate, then you're already displaying one of the most beautiful signs of all. You're comfortable in your own skin. That kind of peace is magnetic. Let me share Martha's story. She's 73. For decades, she wrestled with her image, always feeling too much of something or not enough of something else. Too round, not trendy enough. Too quiet, not youthful enough. But something shifted last spring. One morning, she put on a soft pink sweater, brushed back her silver hair, and caught her reflection as she passed the hallway mirror. And instead of sighing or fixing anything, she smiled. Because in that moment, she didn't see flaws. She saw a woman who survived loss, who raised children, who forgave herself, who kept going. And she felt proud not for looking young, but for growing into herself. That's the beauty no one can buy or fake. According to research in positive psychology, self-acceptance is one of the strongest predictors of emotional well-being, and it radiates outward. People are naturally drawn to those who carry a quiet confidence, who are unbothered by trends and centered in their identity. When you feel good in your body, when you laugh at your own jokes, wear what feels good, dance in the kitchen without worrying if anyone's watching. That's the glow of a woman who's done trying to be someone else. And it's absolutely beautiful. Sign 8. You still turn heads even without trying. You might not walk into a room expecting attention. You might even think those days are behind me, but then it happens. A glance, a second look, someone's eyes lingering just a little longer than expected. And no, it's not because you're the loudest, the boldest, or the most dressed up person there. It's because you have something rarer, something deeper. Presence. Let me tell you about Lillian. She's 69. She doesn't wear heels anymore. She's traded designer handbags for soft leather crossbodies and bold makeup for clean skin and soft lips. But when she walks into her church on Sundays, people notice. Not because she's flashy, but because she's grounded. Because her smile feels like home. Because she walks like a woman who knows exactly who she is and has nothing to prove. That's what real beauty does. It draws people in quietly. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it. Research from the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior has shown that individuals with confident posture, gentle expressions, and open body language are perceived as more attractive, regardless of age or traditional beauty standards. That means turning heads after 60 isn't about looking like you're 30. It's about walking with intention, smiling with sincerity, and entering a room like you belong there. So if you've ever noticed that subtle pause where someone watches you just a little longer than usual, don't brush it off. That's your light still shining. Sign 9, you make people feel safe, seen, and inspired without even realizing it. There's a kind of beauty that doesn't come from mirrors, compliments, or perfect photos. It comes from being the kind of woman others feel better around just because you're there. Maybe it's the way you listen fully without checking your phone. Maybe it's your warm presence, your sense of humor, or the quiet wisdom in your eyes, whatever it is. People leave conversations with you feeling lighter, like they were just reminded of what really matters. That's not just kindness. That's not just personality. That's deep beauty. Let me tell you about Jeanette. She's 75, volunteers at a community garden, and always seems to know exactly what to say when someone's having a hard day. Her granddaughter once said, "Grandma, when I talk to you, it's like the world slows down. I feel like I can finally breathe." And Jeanette smiled, not because she thought of herself as extraordinary, but because for the first time she realized that's what people saw in her. That's what people felt around her. Psychologists call this relational radiance, a kind of beauty we project when we're emotionally safe, grounded, and generous with our energy. It draws people in. It leaves a mark. And here's the most powerful part: this kind of beauty never fades. In fact, it only grows stronger with age because it's built on everything you've lived, loved, and learned. So if people trust you, open up to you, seek your advice or your company in quiet moments, that's not just about being a good person. That's about being beautiful in a way that transforms the room, the moment, and sometimes even a life. And you might not realize it, but that's exactly what you've become. So now that you've heard all 9 signs, maybe you're realizing something you haven't felt in a while. You are still beautiful, not just in memory, not just in the past. Right now in this season of your life, because real beauty was never about flawless skin or youthful curves. It's about the way you make people feel, the wisdom in your smile, the peace in your presence, and the power of simply being yourself without apology. If even one of these signs felt familiar today, I hope you let it in. You're not invisible. You're not past your prime. You're blooming into a kind of beauty that only time can create, and that deserves to be honored. If this video touched your heart, leave a comment below and tell me, which of these signs reminded you of your own quiet beauty? I read every word, and your stories truly matter. If you found comfort or clarity here, please give this video a like. It helps more women see it too. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and tap the bell so you never miss another reminder of just how radiant you really are. This is Senior Wisdom, a place where your life, your voice, and your beauty are always celebrated. Until next time, take care of yourself gently. And never forget, you are seen. You are valued, and you are more beautiful than you know.